One of the terrible, terrible side effects of the Trump era is that the media loves rehabilitating anybody who says even the slightest thing against Trump. They could be the worst person in the world, with the worst record in the world, miserable across the board, but if they're like, I slightly disagree with that man, the media's like, oh, I just came myself, oh yes. And that's where we're at. So, let me show you a perfect example of this from this weekend.
You ran as a compassionate conservative.
I did.
Do you believe there are compassionate conservatives today?
Absolutely, I'm one. And I think there are a lot. The problem is, with an angry society, it's hard to punch through with compassion.
Mm-hmm. Is it an angry society, or is it certain leaders and people who've stoked that anger and fear?
I think that's an interesting question. I'm a big leadership guy, and so therefore I think maybe the latter part of your question is true, that people stoke anger in order to advance their apolitical agenda. I do believe there is a more, my dad spoke kinder and gentler, and he truly believed it, and I believed in unifier, not divider, and they just can't be empty slogans. You have to believe it in order to be credible. I think that, yes, it's going to require leadership to help heal wounds.
So the rehabilitation job of George W. Bush is complete. I mean, there are polls now that have Democrats nearly 50% or just over 50% liking him. Actually, I don't remember, to be fair. I don't know if it was just under 50% or over 50% for Democrats. But that's crazy, because this is a guy who left office with like a 22% approval rating in the entire country. So you can find almost anybody who liked the guy. I mean, he was despised for good reason. Illegal and offensive wars, torture program, Guantanamo Bay, total collapse of the economy because of deregulation and tax cuts for the wealthy. It was endless. It was endless, the shit that he did that was bad. And now, in liberal elite circles, like this show with, what's her name, Norah O'Donnell, there's throwing softballs down the center of the plate for him. I mean, look at these questions. One of them wasn't even a question. It was, you ran as a compassionate conservative. I like how he says, I did, and then he gives like that evil laugh. He's like, I did. Boy, did I bullshit all you fuckers. I did. You ran as a compassionate conservative. See, an actual journalist would follow that up with, but then you killed minimum 200,000 innocent Iraqi civilians and made a torture program. Thoughts? Didn't do that. Just said, you ran as a compassionate conservative. Just said it as if it's like, you're a compassionate man, aren't you? You like good things and you're against bad things. You like happy things. You don't like mean things. You're a good man, Georgie Porgy, aren't you? A good man, Georgie Porgy? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And then he says, I find this hilarious, with an angry society, it's hard to break through with compassion. So in other words, you know how the politics have changed. From when he ran for office, he had to pretend to be, I'm a compassionate conservative, I'm a nice guy, and that's how he got elected. His point was, well, you know, when George W. Bush ran, or excuse me, when Donald Trump ran, you know, he tapped into anger. And it's because the society has become angry, and so, like, it's hard to break through with compassion these days, because now society's angry. So that's his way of saying, I'm a nice guy, and my politics are compassionate politics, not like this guy's angry politics, and so it's harder for my type of politics to break through today because he tapped into that kind of anger. Okay, but why, putting aside the fact that he's not compassionate in terms of his policies, he's terrible and evil demon, but why are people angry? Why? Don't get it twisted. There's plenty of anger out there that's illegitimate. Anger at the other, scapegoating immigrants and brown people and black people, when really it's the wealthy and the corrupt who are screwing you and the politicians. There's some misguided anger, sure. But a lot of the anger in this country is totally legitimate. I am defending the anger. You want to know why? Because I'm angry. I'm angry because the minimum wage is not a living wage and millions of people are working full time and not making enough money to survive. That makes me angry. It makes me angry that 80% of the country is living paycheck to paycheck, and that was before COVID hit. Imagine what it's like now. I'm angry because at least 30% of the country couldn't make their rent payment or their mortgage payment because of COVID destroying the economy and us not handling it sufficiently. I'm angry. I'm angry because we haven't done an infrastructure deal since the New Deal. So the freaking thing is falling apart at the seams. I'm angry about that. I'm angry about our endless wars. I'm angry, but you should be angry. The system has left regular people behind. There's no American dream. It's not the harder you work, the further you go. I wish it was that. It is not that. We have a country where tens of millions of people don't have health care. We don't have free college. We have $1.6 trillion in student loan debt. You should be angry. If you're not angry, you're not paying attention. Or you're phenomenally lucky because you were born into wealth and privilege. And that's exactly what happened with this guy. And so he doesn't see the stuff going on around him. He doesn't care. It doesn't affect him personally. So why would he care? Why should he care? And then, of course, he does a typical Bushism. Still maintains his low IQ. He says, I'm a big leadership guy. You're a big leadership guy. People stoke anger in order to advance their apolitical agenda. It's not apolitical, son. It is very political. But this is the point. He's trying to draw a distinction between us good Republicans and the bad Trump ones. Oh, I agree. The Trump ones are so bad, but I'm a good one. Where me and all of my buddies are the good ones. Really? Dick Cheney? Donald Rumsfeld? Paul Wolfowitz? These are the good ones? The ones from your era, which did the tax cuts for the wealthy and the deregulation and the endless wars? You did everything exactly like Trump. But you want credit because you don't tweet mean shit. And you don't randomly call Mexicans rapists. You want credit for having a filter when he has no filter, even though you guys push for the exact same policies. So it's convenient for him to say, oh, Trump stuff is apolitical. I'm political. Democrats are political. Trump is apolitical. Even though I did the exact same shit as him, when I did it, it's political and serious. When he does it, it's apolitical and you should condemn it. I'm a unifier, not a divider. These aren't just empty slogans. You have to believe it. You unified nothing. Actually, wrong. You unified Wall Street and Raytheon and Boeing and the military-industrial complex. That's who you unified.